What a year 2023 has been, and today we're going to put a bow on the year, going over December Toronto real estate stats, breaking them down, and seeing what really happened over the Toronto real estate market in 2023. And man, what a year to cover. We had 2022 when the market was ripping, dropping down just as quickly, and now we thought 2023 was going to be something of more stability, maybe some small price decreases, maybe some small price increases, but it definitely was a bit of a roller coaster to get where we are today. But we're going to cover all of that in this video today. My name is Gabriele Battista from Homes into Reality. I'm a Toronto real estate agent who talks about being a first-time buyer in the city of Toronto every single week. If you are a first-time buyer in the city of Toronto and you want to talk about becoming a future homeowner, you can definitely reach out to me. In the description, you'll see my phone number, my email, and a link to book a call with me there. Happy to touch base about your first-time buying goals and talk about any questions you may have about the market. Now, enough of that. Let's get into the content. We're going to start every single month's video when it comes to recaps on the median home prices for different property types. And the reason why we look at median price points is because as a first-time buyer, we want to look at a property value that is realistic to you guys. So the average price point tends to be skewed a little bit higher. Your median price point gives you indication of value of where you have to be property price-wise to get the most common condo or common home in that price point for you. So it's a great number to use when you're budgeting for that first home. We'll get into the values here. For December 2023, your detached properties have been 1.25 million. Your semi-detached properties have been $1 million. For freehold townhouses, the median price point was $1,137,500. For condo townhouses, we're looking at $745,000. For condo apartments, we're looking at $630,000. Now, the values that I was showing you there is a really good indication of value. It's good to plug into a budget and say, hey, this is how much I want to afford, how much do I need to save, how much is my monthly payment. It's good as a great indication of a plug-in value. But these values do change on a month-to-month basis. They're consistently changing. So I like to look at with clients that over the month-over-month changes and the year-over-year changes. Starting with the month-over-month changes, we want to see what the changes from November of 2023 to December of 2023. So that's the most up-to-date measure of what's going on in the market. Starting with detached homes, we've had 0% change. It was 1.25 million last month. And this month, for semi-detached homes, we're down 5.6%. For freehold townhouses, we're up 4.4%. For condo towns, we're down 6.4%. And for condo apartments, we're down 1.1%. On an overall basis, we're looking at most property types have been decreasing on a month-to-month basis, with the exception of freehold townhouses, which I do take with a bit of grain of salt because there's much lower amounts of inventory in the freehold townhouse space. So sometimes you'll see when we get to graphs, there are some big spikes and then drops on a month-to-month basis. If we look long-term, usually it evens out itself. But on an overall basis, we are down month over month as we get into December, where there is a little bit of a slower time in the real estate market. And now, because the Toronto real estate market is so seasonal, because there is highs in the markets and lows in markets, it's important that we look at year over year changes. So this is comparing December of 2022 to December of 2023. We're looking at detached homes are up 0.4%. Your semi-detached homes are down 5.21%. Your freehold townhouses are up a whopping 12.6%. And your condo townhouses are down just under 1%. Your condo apartments are also down just under 1% as well. The overall trend, excluding freehold townhouses, that most property types are at basically the same point they were last year. Semis being down a little bit more. I want to see if that evens out. But let's say for detached markets, which have a lot of properties on there, for condo towns and condo apartments, which has a lot of property volume as well, we're at the same point as we were earlier this time last year. So as of 12 months, there has been no or very minimal property growth in the Toronto real estate market for those property types. We're going to talk about more later in the video on why that is. My last takeaway when it comes to prices is, when I look at prices being, oh my God, they haven't grown, they've actually decreased in value slightly year over year. I would probably tell you that was very expected on my end when looking at last year's numbers, how crazy the market was, where we had those very high highs and those very low lows. Or detached properties is a big graph I always use. As you can see, it was essentially ripping in March of 2022, and it fell right back down into the summer of 2022 as well. There was those huge volatile months. And, for there to be a real estate market with minimal gains on a yearly basis, I don't think it's surprising. We're in a sense of recovery, higher interest rates, volume is dramatically down as well. The fact that the price growth has been so minimal is surprising me. I thought, if anything, earlier in the year, I thought prices were going to decline a little bit more than they have. Again, with the exception of freehold townhouses, because I think that's probably a one-off month. With that being said, it's, I wouldn't be alarmed if prices have not grown on a year-to-year basis. As a first-time buyer getting into the Toronto real estate market, you got to find the right fit for your home, stability is actually your friend in the real estate market. If something is growing 8% per year, that's fantastic in the Toronto real estate market, but we need to find the proper fit property-wise for you. And we hope that appreciates long-term. But in the short term, if there's a little bit of stability in the market after a very volatile 2 years, nothing wrong in that market. So we talk about what happened with prices. Now the question is, why is that happening? And the three indications I typically look at is your new listings, your active listings, and your sold properties. Those are your biggest indications of supply and demand in the market, simple economics, but we'll break it down a little bit better for the first-time buyer. New listings, if we look on a year-to-year basis, are actually up slightly, but they are overall pretty down. We had new listings in 2023 of 1,517 new properties. With that being said, December is a very, very slow month. I emphasize very slow. It actually is one of the slowest months of the year. We'll throw up the new listing charts in front of my face. You'll see that the 1 month where we have significantly less listings is in December. And that's been the case for the past 3 years. It always drops down. No one's really selling their properties in the winter time when the holidays come around. They're not putting the properties on the market. And relating that to active listings. Active listings are the current number of properties on the market. So maybe they haven't entered the market in December, but they are staying on the market and they're currently in that ecosystem. We currently have in 2023 December 4,410 new listings in the market. That's a 22% increase in the overall market stats. What's interesting is the fact that new listings are dramatically down, not a ton of new listings coming in the market, but there is dramatically more new active listings in the market compared to this time last year. Earlier in beginning of January of 2023, we felt that there was a lack of listings in the market. And that really shows the case that we have 22% more listings on the market now as we are in January right now. So it's 22% higher, but the new listings coming in the market is essentially the same as last year. That's essentially from properties not selling on the market. Because solds have been so low in 2023, properties are really struggling to come off the market. And you'll see with active listings that they kind of have been grinding down slowly but surely. That reason largely has to do when it comes to sold activity. Sold activity is the amount of properties that are actually selling on the market. Not the properties listed, not the properties or offers on the market, properties that are selling. So where a buyer and a seller are meeting in the minds. There has been an 8.95% increase. I will say that is a little bit over dramatized because there's so little inventory on the market that's transacting in December. We had a total of 1,266 properties sale in December of 2023. Again, almost a 9% increase. With that being said, you notice that the inventory on the active inventory has come down dramatically, but sold inventory is very, very low. If you look at seasonal, the sold volume is essentially where it was last year and still dramatically less than where it was in 2021. So why is that? Overall, it's because most people are taking their properties off the market. So the active inventory is dropping down, not because the properties are selling, but because sellers are like, you know what, it's Christmas time. I'm taking my property off the market. Maybe it'll come back on the market in the springtime. But it definitely has nothing to do with the fact there are more properties selling. I guess 9% is an increase overall from last year. But if we look at December as a whole, it's still dramatically less than every other month we typically see activity go on in the market. And also a nice stat to look at is the average days property spent in the market is 33 days on market before they do sell. Compared to this time last year, it was 28 days on market. So that's a 5-day difference. With that being said, it's not a huge indication that I look at. The one skew or flaw with this number is that a lot of properties are not selling and those numbers are not indicated in this value. The 33 days is only the average amount of days when it comes to properties that are selling. So the properties that are successful in the market are taking 33 days to sell. So summing up all the stats, trends, news, whatever it is in December's market, I would say that December tends to be a big reset month for the Toronto real estate market. And I would actually say the same thing for January. So if you come back next month with this video, it'll be a very similar tone. What happens is that a lot of properties will come off the market because sellers are no longer interested in selling when there's very little volume, very little showing interest, very little offer interest on the market. So the people who are not motivated, people who have maybe overpriced listings, will take the properties on the market and may put them back up in the springtime when there's more buyers out there. With that being said, it also shows that the motivated people still on the market may have an opportunity for prices to get, better for buyers. So let's say, there's the people who are still in the market, it's a more attractive, they have to sell for whatever reason. They're going to keep the property on during the holiday season. So you may have an opportunity to get more deals quote unquote, on those properties, which is why you see prices tend to drop in December as well. So only the motivated really sell, and they tend to sell at a much lower price point because the buyer pool is so low. What's interesting to me looking forward is what happens in new listings come in the market. Because if we look from, again, active inventory, October, November, the peak of our active listings, we had a ton of listings in the market. But it wasn't a situation where those listings were selling. It was a situation that came off the market and maybe they have to sell eventually, but not right now. I imagine we may see a bulk of new listings come in the market in the beginning of 2024. When that happens, I'm not too sure. My gut tells me probably around March is when most of those listings come onto the market. But time is ticking. Time will tell on what happens with the real estate market. But my gut tells me that inventory has only gone away temporarily. It will come back on the market and it'll have an opportunity for buyers in the market to really get interested. On a sold level, I probably would expect that we're going to see a little bit of an uptick of property selling in the market, just because we are slowly going to see interest rates come down, not very quickly, but slowly but surely. But I don't know what's going to happen with prices. I can see them being overall pretty stable, maybe some slight upticks, but overall, I think it's going to be a pretty stable market going forward. But with that being said, every buyer is so different. And I would tell you, if you're a first-time buyer in the state of Toronto, number one, you should be reaching out to me today. In my description, my phone number, my email, and a link to book a call with me is all there, so you can reach out. But what I would tell you is it's always interesting that your situation is very different. If you're looking for something that, let's say a condo, your strategy to find a property is very different than someone looking for a townhouse. I probably have 3 clients right now looking for townhouses. Our strategy is very different than a condo, where there's a ton of inventory in the condo market, but not a ton of inventory in the townhouse market. So what I would tell you is get in touch, get in detail about what your first time buying search looks like, and then get started. If you are new to the channel, what I'll say as a wrap up, we have tons of great resources for you as a first time buyer. We do a monthly first time buyer webinar, which for us is actually happening next week on Thursday. And you're happy to join if you're interested. Just comment down below or send me a message, send me a text. I'll send you a link to the Zoom where we talk about being a first time buyer in Toronto. We do these weekly videos on Instagram and YouTube, which is what you're watching right now. And then we do weekly newsletter updates for our first-time buyers or for our future homeowners. So if you're interested in any of that, and if any of that sounds of interest to you, if 2024 is a year you make that first big move, I think it's time to get in touch. Happy to talk strategy. Even if you're not going to move for 6 months, I'm happy to open my doors up and talk about you being a first-time buyer in Toronto. Again, like the video, subscribe if you want to join the 73 and counting subscribers on the channel. I'm happy to help first-time buyers in Toronto. I'm really excited about what 2024 has to offer, and I want to provide you value. Comment what you want to see below in the future of 2024. Enjoy the rest of the week. Take care. Bye.